focused or motivated for anything. But since I figured that finals are coming up for everybody, I should make a little list of tips that help me. So let's kick it right off with our first tip. So tip number 1, take deep breaths and unclench your jaw. This one is the most simple one that you can do, but it's also one of the most helpful ones, because if you're really stressed, one of the good ways in which you can relieve that is by practicing meditating. And oftentimes meditating includes breathing, and controlling your breathing and being more mindful of yourself and like your body. So there's a lot of good apps. I'm gonna link a few in the bio, in the description box. I'm gonna link a few that I know are really helpful. I used to be really good at meditating in high school, but then I stopped. But I know that I definitely take deep breaths, and unclenching your jaw, like that is one of the biggest ones, just because we don't even realize how tense like this gets, and it's like it just happens. I don't know why, but it's always clenched, and then once you release it, like you're like, wow, like I was really tense. So that one is really helpful. Tip number 2 is make a plan. Always make a plan. You're not gonna know where to start if you don't write it down. So rather than just throwing everything like at yourself and like being like, oh my gosh, I have all of this to know, like all of this information to memorize, all of these courses that I'm taking, and I need to do all of it and like study for all of it, that's gonna get really overwhelming. So you have to make a plan. And I would suggest starting with what is the hardest and then finishing with what's the easiest, because hopefully what's the easiest is just gonna need a small review. It's not gonna require that much work, the classes that you're struggling with the most, those are the ones that you're gonna need to really study for and make a lot of the time for. So making sure that you make a plan for how you're gonna do that is really beneficial for you. So make sure that you're doing that and getting that down. And then tip number 3, remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. It's a lot harder to stop doing what you're doing if you have a reason for why you're doing it. If you don't care about what you're doing, then you're gonna easily get distracted, not have focus, not be motivated. But if you have a reason for what you're doing, whatever reason that is, it's gonna be a lot harder for you to just be like, okay, whatever. So remind yourself of long-term goals that you have, or even short-term goals that you have. If this course is gonna be like the gateway into another course, or if this course is like really important for future research, or if you're pre-med and you need these courses, like you need to do well in them, like make sure that you're prioritizing what is gonna be beneficial for you. Tip number 4, study in different locations. So if you're used to just studying in the living room, change it up. Changing up your routine can be really beneficial, because your brain is gonna get tired, your body's gonna get tired of being in the same place every single time. Having to memorize information from just one setting in just one place gets really exhausting. So if you're changing locations, then that's gonna help your body like feel like it's not just cramming all this information in all at once. So study in the living room, study in the kitchen, study in a different room, whatever, but don't stay in the same place. Like change up your routine. Tip number 5, sleep and eat. Do not forget to sleep and eat. I know how easy it can be to forget these things, because you're constantly moving around or studying. You're so focused on getting the next thing done that you can forget a meal or whatever. But make sure that you're at least getting one full meal in, and then snacking. I know that there's a lot of snacks that are really good for you while you're studying. Like my mom used to always tell me to eat almonds, so I know that almonds are really good for you. Make sure that you're staying hydrated. Like drink a lot of water, especially if you're like a big coffee drinker, like you like energy drinks. Like make sure you're balancing it out with a nice cold glass of water or whatever. I know that water is really helpful for me, because I can never stay up with coffee or energy drinks, but water, like cold water, will do it for me. So make sure that you're eating, sleeping, and staying hydrated. And there's no set time for sleeping. I'm not gonna pretend that we don't cram, or like say you should be sleeping earlier, because that's probably not gonna happen. But either way, like make sure that you're at least feeling good, and like being good to your body, because you're putting your brain under a lot of stress. So I feel like the least you could do is make sure that your body is getting the rest that it needs, in order for it to like function the next day. Number 7, seek out help. So whether that be from other students, your friends, professors, TAs, whoever. Like, make sure that you're using your resources. You know, if you know that you're struggling with a course, like you're struggling with one subject, make sure that you're reaching out to someone that you know is doing well in that course, or that you know understands it more. You know, it doesn't even have to be someone in your class. And as friends who have taken that course, you know, everyone, there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help. So make sure that you're getting that help that you need. You know, and if you're somebody that can't focus when you're studying by yourself, make sure that, you know, you send out that Zoom link to your friend and say, hey friend, you know, can you make sure that I'm studying? You know, call me in an hour and see if I'm still studying, or checking up on me, how I'm doing. You know, don't be afraid to send out those messages to your friends. You know, everyone is going through the same thing. Everyone's going through finals, and it's good to check up on each other. So don't forget to use the people that you have, so that they can help you do better. And then last but certainly not least, tip number 8, focus on the process and not the results. So what I mean by this is, yeah, it's good to have a good grade, and then, you know, hopefully you have a good grade, but even if you don't get what you wanted, focus on the process. Like in either scenarios, you need to focus on what got you there. So what worked for you and what didn't work for you, because I'm sure this is not going to be the only time that you're going to have to work hard for or something, you know. So make sure that you remember what were the good studying habits that you had, or what worked for you in that time that helped you do well in that course, or what didn't work for you that you need to change so that you can do well in a course like that if you ever take it again and you didn't do well this time. So make sure that you're remembering that it's all about the process. It's all about what you take from it as you were doing it, and not just what you got in the end. So that one is really important, because, you know, I always just, this is like my motto, you know, it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. Because yeah, you can start somewhere and, you know, hopefully you did really well, but it's about what the ending is, you know, how you finish. That's only one step of you being closer to your goals. So keeping that in mind, that the process matters, you know, and there's gonna be a lot of times where you're not gonna get things, but as long as you're being, you know, mindful of what you need to fix, then you're gonna be set, because you're gonna know how to fix it. So hopefully I was able to give you guys some valuable tips on how to navigate finals and how to stay motivated. If you have any other suggestions or any other tips that you think people would benefit from, feel free to comment them down below. And again, thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed the video and that you were able to take something from it. And happy final season. I hope that everybody does really well. I'm sure everybody's gonna ace their finals. I know that it can be really hard, you know, staying focused right now, but you know, you've worked so hard already, and you shouldn't let it just and then just whatever, you know, if you know, when you're in a race, you don't just walk at the finish line, you know, you race through. So try your hardest, and if you can't, then that's okay. You know, it's a weird situation that we're in, but it's, you know, it's okay to not be able to do things. But if you can, you know, if your brain still has that little bit of juice left in it, you know, push through till the end, because hopefully you get the results that you want. And if you don't, then you know what to fix for the next time. So happy finals.
Do you ever wonder how, or if you're really who you're supposed to be lately?